Hello there, lovely humans. Welcome back for another episode of the Anime Podcast Show. Well, this is the sad news I gotta say is that this will be the last episode of the season ever. You think I'm finished? I'm just warmed up and getting started. Well, let's move on to the first segment of the show to kick things off. So, the first segment that will be what anime series that I got into during the COVID pandemic. So this anime series is an ambitious series never seen before, living in the Middle Ages, existing world of powerful magic. What the hell I am talking about? Well, I am talking about Seven Deadly Sins. Seven Deadly Sins is about 10 years after the events of the Holy War. The group gotten disbanded after wrongly accused by the Holy Kingdom. However, a decade later, Princess Elizabeth is searching for the Seven Deadly Sins. Having seen so many characters in the world and living in the Middle Ages, setting a ties of the outcomes for the future between sins, holy knights, fairies, goddesses, and the demon clan in a seemingly endless battle for peace and justice. The series was written and illustrated by Nakaba Suzuki. It was serialized by Weekly Shonen Magazine from October of 2012 to March of 2020 for over 41 volumes. Then in April of 2014, it was announced that Seven Deadly Sins will be adapted into an anime series, and it will be adapted and produced by A1 Pictures. It will be broadcast on October of 2014 to be the start of the first season, but to worldwide, it will be shown including their English dub release. It will be acquired by Netflix, their very first anime production acquired by Netflix, including through to the second season that will be aired in 2018. It will be the last thing before the third and the fourth season will be moved to Studio Dean. You all know what happened during production of season 3, until to their finale of Dragon's Judgment in 2021. Do you guys think that it will be the end to see of our favorite characters? I don't think so, because they're gonna do a spin-off to theatrical movies named Seven Deadly Sins: Grudge of Inbra. The only information that I know that the first part of the film will be out in December of 2022. But I got a little bit of inside summary of what the story is going to be about. So it said here that split into two parts of the films, that the story will follow Tristan, the son of the Seven Deadly Sins protagonists, Meliodas and Elizabeth. Tristan inhabits the power of the goddess clan and can heal people's wounds and injuries, but he often ends up hurting others due to his inability to control his demon clan powers. To protect his family, Tristan heads to Inbra Castle and meets a host of new friends along the way. So this is what the meant of the story will take in place. So something that Tristan can do and can't do. Like, he got the powers of a goddess and a power of a demon. So how he can do that throughout these two films. But we don't know what the outcome for this story, but we'll see if it's going to turn out okay or if it's going to turn out dog shit. But anyway, what was my interest with Seven Deadly Sins? So here's a little true story. So this was the time in early of 2020. Because at the time, because this is when COVID was all around us. And rumors that they were saying that the final season of Seven Deadly Sins would be out in October of 2020. But due to the lockdowns everywhere in the world, all productions has stopped until they officially came back to animate the series until it was delayed for a January 2021 release. When I heard about it, I was like, let's take a crack on the series, and I decided to watch it during the first days of the new year of 2021. Because that was the perfect way to watch the series before Dragon's Judgment comes out. It's funny that it took me months to finish it. Then was a good old Australia was on under fire during lockdown, around mid-June to mid-October of 2021. I heard the announcement from Netflix saying Seven Deadly Sins will come out with their second movie called Cursed by Light. It would release on October 1st. So I decided to watch the series all over again. It was actually on the day when the final batch of the Dragon's Judgment stuff and came out on September 25th of 2021. And I finished the Seven Deadly Sins marathon with the premiere of Cursed by Light film, just literally past midnight on October 2nd. So that's a very crazy to me because over around 100 episodes, 2 movies, it took me about 1 week to watch the entirety of Seven Deadly Sins. Because at the time, I don't really care about the time zones, about anything. So I was like, you know what, let's kick off at midnight, my time. So I think I watched like the first 4 episodes of the first season. And then I watched like the next half of the show. And then I finished like the first season, I don't know, hours. I think it's like 6, 7 hours I finished it. I don't know how long I finished it. Then I took a break and then watched the second season. Then Prisoners of the Sky. Then the third and fourth seasons. And then we got to the Cursed by Light film. And I was like, I think it was around 7? No. Because I remember I finished around 9:30 at night. Then I was like, oh, the movie's out. The Cursed by Light film was like by Netflix. So I was like, okay, I'll take a little break around 10:30-ish. Let's watch the film. And then when it hits around 11, let me remember the time. I think it was 11:54 or 11:55 p.m. That's the time when the film finished it. So it was like 5 minutes before midnight. I was like, oh, wow. I can't believe I've just actually finished the marathon of Seven Deadly Sins. So anyway, that was my interest with this series. Let's move on to the next segment of the show, and that will be Topic of the Week. So for this topic, I've been thinking about this segment for a long time. Since I came back watching anime, and there's a lot of course, you guys heard about the misinformation of announcements in anime in the past. So there are all rumors happened in the past from our favorite franchises, or even series itself. Well, let's take a look of, let's talk about it. The first thing I wanted to discuss is about Yu-Gi-Oh! This was around second half of 2019. Of announcements about a new series was going to be announced around the end of airing their run of Reigns. It was rumored in discussions that at the time about returning to the original cast. By this time, it will be a fully, will be faithful adaptation of the manga. This time would be adapting every single chapter of the manga. So from the first 3 chapters to all the way to the Duel Monster tournaments. But it turns out on December of 2019, announcing another spin-off series called Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens. Well, when I first heard about this announcement, I was like, oh, this is really interesting, because in 2020 will be the 20th anniversary of Yu-Gi-Oh! The original anime series. So they're like, us fans, we were like, oh, possibly they're going to do a faithful adaptation. And that was my expectations, like what they did for Shaman King, because for Shaman King, they bring the original cast in English and Japanese. So I was like, okay. So they should have done that with Yu-Gi-Oh! And yeah, that was crazy to me. Like, what? But here's what came wrong if they adapt. Okay, here's what they should do. They should adapt it to honor the 20th anniversary of the anime, when the series was aired in 2000. But it totally made sense to go back to the very beginning, very similar to the Shaman King 2021 series, as it was announced in June of 2020. Do something with it. Well, that's it. Here's what they should do. Of course, they adapt School, Death Tea, and I came up with an idea of, why don't they just create an arc, like, you know, like in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series that we had so many new arcs. It can be connecting to the story. well, technically it's not, because they're all filler, but some of the filler stuff in Yu-Gi-Oh! They did a good job with it. Like, Awaken the Dragons, see the dark side of the Pharaoh. I like that. But with the Grand Championships, not kind of a very good arc that were taken away before the events of Dawn of the Duel stuff. So anyway, create a brand new arc that will be canon to the story. After, I would say that after occurs in the Death Tea stuff, it would affect their struggles in the future for what they're struggling at the end of the Death Tea arc, and then go to the Monster World stuff, and I think that's when they introduced Bokora, I believe, like officially, but I don't know. Of course, the Duelist Kingdom stuff, Dungeon Dice Monsters, Battle City tournament, and then the tournament finals, and that'll be it. But before we moving on to the King's Memories, same thing with the struggles in the end of the Death Tea stuff. Maybe a brand new arc will be, let's say doing adapting the spin-off Yu-Gi-Oh! R. Make more sense as the main canon, but change it up a little bit, and something will affect around the time before their trip to Egypt. So that would be an interesting idea what they can do in the Yu-Gi-Oh setup. So like Yugi's already a tournament winner after his battle with Merrick. So he got the 3 Egyptian God cards. He can do with something with that, and leading up to the events of Dawn of the Duel stuff. But with Yu-Gi-Oh! R, it can affect what's going to be happening to the Pharaoh and the gang, and even Kaiba, and that would be crazy if they can do something like that. Yeah, so, and then we move on to the King's Memory arc, and then the final duel with Atem versus Yugi. So that's my own take if they adapt the reboot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Enough said, let's continue with this. Next one, I want to talk about another favorite series I'd really enjoyed, and that would be Rurouni Kenshin. I heard these rumors for a while ago, for almost 3 years, I believe. But somehow the Jinchuku, or as the final arc of the main story, why they didn't get animated. Well, at the time, the manga was in there being written, well, it was actually written for the story, but for the anime, the Kyoto arc is done. And now for the 3rd season, it's just all filler arcs. Because it needed more time in the writing process to make sense in the point of the manga. Back to the anime, the filler arcs were so poorly been done. So the series had declined viewers and not interested with the Kenshin character that was built up from the Wandering Samurai into a groundbreaking battle in Kyoto. Now you have the sloppy finale. What the hell was that? But due to the fact around that time, the anime staff, the anime staff kind of knew it's gonna get cancelled before even making through the full season as the Jinchuku arc. But we did kind of got a glimpse of the Jinchuku stuff for the, what's that special they done? Oh, the Trust and Betrayal. Oh, that is one of the best OVA specials they've ever done. And then we got I can't remember the last special they done for Kenshin, and that special was an actual finale for the Kenshin character and Kaoru and everybody else. I'm like, serious? What a way of... It couldn't give out more fleshed out parts of the Jinchuku arc, or make a new stuff, okay, make a TV special, or make a movie out of the Jinchuku arc. Do something with it. But then I think that the studio can't even bother to do it. But then until in 2000 and... I don't know what year when they first started. Oh, no, sorry, my bad. In 2011, I heard rumors saying that they are going to be adapting into a live action form. Oh, give me a break. And of course, how did it turn out? Oh, it turned out bloody good. And after the first 3 films, well, because the first arc was, I think it was adapting the first arc of the story, and then we got to the 2 movies that would be the Kyoto Inferno and the World's End, and that would be the Kyoto arc. But now with movies 4 and 5, that will be the finale. They call it the final. I'll call it the finale. The final and the beginning are both the Shinjuku arcs. But technically, for the beginning, it's just the beginning of Kenshin's journey before he was a wandering samurai. Because back then, they called him Batose the Manslayer. And now, in the end of the story, we get to see him with him and Kaoru and so many incredible characters in the Kenshin world. So that is my take on Shinjuku arc in Rurouni Kenshin. So moving on to the next one, of course this one got more rumors than you think. Since the late 90s when the mainstream ended in Japan. But internationally has started the popularity. But I'm talking about Dragon Ball. It was floating around in the 90s and throughout of the 2000s saying, oh, there will be a Dragon Ball new series coming up. As to top it all up, it was entirely as a hoax or a fake news. It was actually called Dragon Ball AF, or known as After the Future. This whole thing started when kind of as a Super Saiyan 5 turns up. But how is it possible the image was from a video game magazine from Spain? Like, hello? Say what now? Is there any more Is there any more? Well, you betcha. This next news, this is a very freaking interesting, but I heard more about Dragon Ball because at the time when Dragon Ball Super ended their run, we thought that they would come back eventually, but it would be years down the road. But this rumor I heard about was when back in 2017, Toei kind of made these websites, and those 3 websites were unknown properties, but mostly were actually for Dragon Ball. I still convinced what would it be, and can it be the return of the series, or maybe can be theatrical movies? And actually, it was for 3 Dragon Ball movie projects. And one of them was announced straight away. It was for a 2018 movie, Dragon Ball Super Broly. Then I was wondering of what would be the other 2 films would be. And I've been thinking about around 2019 when Broly hit internationally to right now in the present day. As of now, we have a second movie, Dragon Ball Super Superhero. And the last rumor I heard was April Fool's last year, and I was tricked, and I thought it was real. It would be the return of Dragon Ball Super anime. But it wasn't. But as of now, it's aiming to make a return for a 2023 release to come back, and aiming for another movie, maybe somewhere in 2024, just literally maybe around the time of the 40th anniversary of Dragon Ball. Maybe. I don't know what they're going to do with that, but we'll see what's going to happen. This is a maybe, but don't know a full information. But yeah, this is what I gotta say. Now you heard a lot of news of mostly your favorite shows, like they were fake, from like the classics shows like Trigun, Sailor Moon, Cowboy Bebop, Yu Yu Hakusho, and many others. Let us talk about those. I'll go start with Yu Yu Hakusho. These rumors float around during the time of the 25th anniversary saying a favorite adaptation would be announced. But nope, it wasn't. It was a 2 OVA series, but it got fans really excited for more of Yu Yu Hakusho. And actually those chapters never got adapted in the original anime's run. Well, that's very sad. Trigun makes its return in 2023, just right before. Well, I would say just right before the Stampede OVA special and before the Badlands Rumble movie. In the early 2000s, were making remarks of when to season 2 of Trigun comes out. No reason, but the reason why is there will be no season, because in Japan the series were not interested with their audience. It was admitted to be cancelled because it was influenced by the American movies to make this series. But I think the audience were like, I don't really get it. But now, for this series is still one of my favorites. But you guys know about these magical girls. They are coming back for one more time. That will be the upcoming Sailor Moon movie, Cosmos movie in 2023. But before Crystal came out, along with so many speculations that Sailor Moon makes its return as a series or movies, but that never came true. Like, okay, adapting the entirety of the Sailor Moon series before leading up to the 25th anniversary of the series. 25th, or I think it was the 20th anniversary when they first announced it. I think it was at Anime Expo of 2012. I don't remember. But yeah, I think at the time, I think around like the 15th or the 20th anniversary, rumors were saying Sailor Moon's going to come back to the small screens or coming to the big screens for the first time. Like, okay, a very example like Digimon Adventure Try, they did something into a theatrical 6-part films. So I was saying, oh, maybe they're gonna do something with with all the way from the Dark Kingdom stuff all the way to Sailor Stars into a theatrical movies. But it turns out Crystal became with 3 seasons and 2 movies. So I cannot wait what they're gonna do with more of Sailor Moon. Ho ho boy with SAO, the next one. We never thought about this around the end of the last episode of the War of Underworld stuff. We didn't know, we thought it would be the end of the story, but nope. Kind of a post-credit scene where Kirito wearing his iconic outfit from Ironclad arc. Maybe is gonna be a reboot series, or maybe is gonna be movies. But then weeks later, it will be a progressive movies that will be adapting every volume, but it wasn't anyway. The studio is choosing the stories will be appropriate, what the audience never expected. But now that of course the 2 movies came out and they became a hit in Japan, but now as of this recording, that a 3rd movie is coming out. Well, technically is the 4th movie in the SEO franchise, but this is not an adaptation of the progressive storyline. This is an original story, so I believe that this brand new SAO movie is going to be taking place before the events of the Unity Ring storyline. So I know what can we expect, what they're going to do with it. Coming down to this, Berserk. A lot of rumors been happening throughout the end of the 1997 series to now. Starting off with the end of the 90s series, that season was originally going to be a promotion for the manga to be interest with the audience. But it turns out into a cult classic, mostly to the English audience. They want more Berserk, but here's the reason why. There is no second season. It wasn't not much material for them to make a second season. And at the time, was 15 volumes. Then years later, in 2010, it was announced that a new project is in the works after the promotion on volume 35. But it turns out that an intuition came true until in 2012 with the Golden Age arc movies. Well, the studio behind the Golden Age trilogy movies were interested to adapt the Lost Children arc, hoping to see a better future for the franchise, but that never got made. But it turns out what the Studio O4C, whatever it's called, they didn't have any money left, and they couldn't have the rights to continue with Berserk. I've actually talked about that in my Berserk anniversary video. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put down the link down below. As we thought this series would make into 2 seasons and 1 movie, but never gotten a 3rd season. But I am talking about is Blue Exorcist. We thought there would be an announcement from Jump Festa in 2022, but it was actually a promotion for the manga. Before the pandemic, it was mostly likely our discussion, but now life is back to normal, and I hope, and I believe it would not happen or not. But I think I know why, because in the manga chapters comes out a month apart, and they have not much material left to make a 3rd season of Blue Exorcist, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But we thought that Monica Magica has ended with their series with Revelation. At the time, the spin-offs were coming left and right. And coming through with that, they would make a series of their own. But nope. That didn't happen until Magica Record is based on a smartphone game, turns into an anime series, making into 3 seasons. But for our main cast, the doors are open for a sequel television series or a movie sequel. It's been a long wait until 2021. It would be announced at the 10th anniversary of the franchise for a 4th movie. But I don't know much information of the movie, but I cannot wait what they're going to do with that. Coming to an end in 2012. Through would be the end of the world. Nope, I'm just kidding. It's just Bleach. Just got cancelled due to low ratings marketing to the end of the manga in 2016. People thought they don't want to see it because they thought that the worst ending, but it turns out the finale is not half that bad. Then in 2018, that was the year that's when I started interest with Bleach. I became a new fan of Bleach due to my interest of the live-action movie they done in that year, in 2018. So I was curious about it, and I was like, hey, what happened to the final arc? And it turns out it never got adapted until they announced it in early of 2020, and it was announced for the 1,000 Year Blood War arc is ready to be adapted the way it's supposed to be. But as of this recording, hell fucking yes. Bleach is back, baby. And I am looking forward what they're going to do with the 1,000 Year Blood War stuff. And they actually announced it at Anime Expo this year that Taita Kubo is on board to do this season. That's very crazy because when he did the manga and also the anime was coming out at the same time, he couldn't even bother to come by to the studio in the first place. But now, with his involvement, it's going to be very interesting. But I heard something at Anime Expo saying that Taita Kubo come up with some ideas and saying, let's add some new scenes that was never got used for the manga. I was like, oh, I wonder what they're going to do. And, let me tell you, it's 50 episodes. 50 episodes! 5-0. That's freaking crazy because, oh my gosh, that's freaking crazy because, I don't know, I got no words to say. And also, it's a full course season. I was like, full course season? So that means they have to break the season like 12 to 13 episodes each. I'm like, serious? But anyway, I'm very happy it's back. And I want to tell you a little fun fact before we move on to the next, I would say the last topic I want to talk about. That will be, is that, I read something on Twitter saying that at the end of the manga's run, Studio Period had decided that let's adapt the 1,000 Year Blood War stuff. So, but they only had one condition. They only want Taita Kubo to be on board. So, that's freaking crazy. And there have been speculations, and Taita Kubo's like, no, I don't want to do it. And then until when the pandemic began, I think that Taita Kubo's like, yeah, let's let me be on board. And I think that's how it goes. And I think that the animation they had when they did the last arc was so horrible, and people hated it. So I think the new animation that they're using for the format for this arc, this is gonna be insanely crazy. And also I'm happy that the original cast in English and Japanese are back to reprise their roles and coming back to that world of Bleach. That is freaking awesome. And also to the newly cast are joining for this season. That's gonna be exciting too. So that is it. That is it for me about Bleach. Last one to mention is that my favorite isekai series, coming through another world as gamers. I'll make a quick list about it. Shield Hero, There Was a Part-Timer, Konosuba, and ReZero. So starting off with Shield Hero. Making this to the list as it was a progressed series in Fantasy World after the first season ended their run in the end of 2019. Well, I would say around right around almost the end of the first half of 2019. And we thought a second season would come out and saying, yeah, we're going to be announcing the second season. But at the time in 2019, Crunchyroll 2019 would announce for a second and third season. But it turns out it came out the worst decision they ever made. Back then, it was a great idea. But due to the fact that the second season came out, there are no chance to get a third season gonna happen. But lucky enough, it's gonna happen. They are gonna make it big and better than ever we shall see. Well, that is my own point of view. I'm very new to the series. There Was a Part-Timer, but who guessed as a show about a devil working for McDonald's? That's crazy as that. After the first season ended, the fans wanted more of what happened to Mao and everybody else. The fans thought it would not come back until in 2021 when they made that announcement saying, yeah, There Was a Part-Timer is back. For about 8 to 9 years, announcement for a long-awaited season. If who fell in love with the first, now for the second, coming back again, but now as a hero and a devil have a baby of their own. Oh God, here we go. And as of this recording, the second half of the story, well, I would say, I'll call it the third season. The third season just announced, and I'm very excited what they're going to do, and I'm hell excited for it, and I cannot wait to see what they're going to do for the next half of the story. Not much I can say about Konosuba, because if you love comedy, yes, Konosuba one of my favorite series. After 2 seasons, thought, oh, come on, give us some more Konosuba. And yes, we did got more, but for one movie. Then it turns out that an announcement for a spin-off and a third season, fans are rejoiced. And I'm hell excited, more excitement for the Konosuba world. And I'm really, really excited what they're going to bring to the table for the third season and the Megumin spin-off series. So that's what I'm looking forward. Last thing I want to mention is that ReZero, we needed more down to earth for their returning season. But after a long-awaited season that I would say is, where's the third season? We need more ReZero. Come on. Like, now we're back to the rumors of, yeah, ReZero's not going to be back until 3 or 4 years from now. And I heard it would be never going to happen, but we have to wait until years to come. Okay. So that was it for my Topic of the Week segment. And now to this final segment throughout this show, for this season ever, and also for the end of the year, I say, is now bring it to my predictions for 2023. What series or movies I'm looking forward for next year? Here's what I'm thinking. Mostly, of course, I think on the last episode or 2, but I don't know. I I'm more excited for the Detective Conan movie 26. I don't know what the story's gonna be, but as of this recording, they already released like the teaser of movie 26. I'm going, oh, this is gonna be a big one. I'm very excited what they're gonna do with it. And so what I know is that Hybra or Habana, you guys call her in the dub, that something to do with the organization. So I don't know what can it be with the Black Organization involvement, but so many characters already got announced who's gonna be in the part of the story. But I'm looking for what they're gonna do with that. But that's what I know. Misfit season 2. Oh my lord! And I heard about this saying in about a month or two, season 2 of Misfit will be back. And going, yes! Misfit of Demon Academy. I fucking love that show. But anyway, that season is a split 2-core season. So I believe it will be a 12-13 episode runs each. Oh boy, this is gonna be bad. But anyway, I'm looking for what they're gonna do with it. And I know that of course some of you read the manga, or sorry, not manga, the light novel, in saying that something to do with Misa. I can't say what it is. I know what I did talk about that on the when I talked about Misfit. I don't remember. I don't remember that. But yeah, that's what I'm more excited for. Misfit, Demon King Academy. And of course about Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. I'm looking forward for that. Eden Zero's second season. That's going to be more exciting to see. And of course, we got the Sailor Moon Cosmos movie. And yeah, that's what I'm really more excited for. And of course, one of my favorite franchises is Digimon. Because Digimon is going to be announcing for I would say their huge finale. Saying that, well, the huge finale will be Digimon The Beginning, 02. So I would say that this is going to be centered around to the 02 Digidestin. And that's going to be really exciting to see. But I don't know what they're going to do with the story. And actually, it's actually the same staff who worked on The Last Evolution Kazuna. So that's going to be a turnaround for the characters. And as they're growing up, what they're going to do with them. I don't know. The other ones I want to mention that is, of course, I did mention about Trigun. But yes, Trigun is back for a brand new project. And I did mention that a Trigun Stampede. And I believe that this OVA or movie or something, or maybe a TV show or whatever, what they're going to do with it. But I believe that this Trigun special is going to center after the events of Badlands Rumble, or maybe years after. Well, I don't know. I don't know what the plot of this, but I don't know. But anyway, that is it for this episode, and also for this entire year of 2022 for this anime podcast show. See you all next year for 2023, and I hope this will be an incredible year so far for 23, and have an incredible New Year's, and goodbye.